This is fun. Listen, first off, thank you so much for coming. Jen and I are super pumped to be here with you, and grateful that you're here. So many of you have traveled from all over, and so it's humbling, isn't it?
We've got a girl here that drove 4.5 hours to get here just for this.
Amazing.
Yes.
A couple of
Yes, you're going home yet tonight, aren't you, girlfriend? Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, we'll get you some chocolate so you'll be fully caffeinated for all the way home.
Exactly. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys for being here. This is awesome. Did everybody have a good time today?
Yes.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Excellent.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're pretty loosey-goosey in the sense that we're here to help answer questions that you may have, and we're an open book. So we've got a mixture of two crowds, definitely Jennifer's audience, definitely my audience, and then there's a lot of crossover too. So why don't we start with, for people who may not be familiar with yourself, can you give a brief explanation, and then I'll tell the real deal.
Absolutely.
I just realized I have gum in my mouth. I'm so sorry. So unprofessional. All day long I've been get the gum out, and now I'm you know what? I'm chewing the gum. Is that okay?
I'm in my running shoes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm Jennifer Allwood, for those of you who I don't know yet. And I teach creative people how to build their business online. And so I coach over 3,000 business owners online every month in my inner circle and my creators roadmap, and teach them how to build big audiences and then how to monetize those big audiences. Because what happened was I had done a great job of building an audience, and I was making decent money at one point, but I had 100,000, 200,000 Facebook fans, and I still was feeling like, man, something's wrong here. I'm not making enough money, because big audiences don't always mean big dollars. Remember that? And so I finally figured out a lot of different ways that I could monetize that audience. And so I coach business owners on how to do all of those things. I met Stu several years ago when I had this aha moment that my income was doing this. Does anybody else's income do this? Like 1 month I would feel like superwoman, and the next month I just feel terrible, eat carbs, eat my feelings, just cry in the corner, and then it'd go back up, and then it'd go back down, and I hated this. And I had started a membership site, and I was doing okay, but not phenomenal. And then I heard about Stu somehow. I don't know how that magic happens on the Facebook, but somehow he showed up in my feed and took Tribe, and have been able to, what have we done now? We've over tripled my membership size. And so Stu's a great friend and mentor and my business coach, and so I'm super honored to be here.
The other thing about Jennifer, and this is the real deal, is that she is one of the absolute best people you can ever learn from when it comes to deepening the relationship with your audience. She is incredible, and a huge part of that is because she shows up for her people. In fact, Marketing Your Business is a podcast. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, you want to subscribe to it. It sounds familiar, yeah. The reason is because I talked about Jennifer recently for this very fact. And so what I love about Jennifer, she helps people grow their audiences, but she also helps people deepen their relationship with their audience, which is the most important piece. And so, yes, so I'm super grateful to be here with you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Stu, and I, long ago, started a software company called Wishlist Member. And it was a piece of software that powers membership sites. And long story short, it took off. And it ended up powering tens of thousands of membership sites. And I learned a lot being behind the scenes of what needs to happen to create a site that continues to grow year over year versus the sites that weren't growing. And so it was a phenomenal time and phase and period of my life. And then I sold my shares in that company in 2014. And a big reason was because I felt, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I felt like there was an opportunity to expand to a bigger horizons, if you will. And even though I didn't know what it was at the time, what I ended up doing was I partnered with New York Times bestselling author Michael Hyatt. And so we helped transform his business. It was a business that was doing really well, but he had zero leverage. The way he generated revenue was he would speak 30 to 45 times a year, and you had a day on the front and a day on the back for travel. He was gone over 150 days a year. And so he wanted to be able to at least make the same amount of money, but just travel less. He wanted to be home with his family. So we partnered together, and in a very short period of time, grew his membership site to over 6,000 members. And people started asking, like, how are you doing this? That ultimately led to Tribe, which We ended up welcoming thousands of people in that community, and I love our community. It's hard to describe, but we just say it's a tribe thing. And that's where my heart and passion is helping people grow their business through recurring revenue and memberships. And so I'm excited that all of you are here. And I know, between the two of us, we've got a lot of experience to be able to help. So no matter what part of your journey you're on, whether you're in the earlier stages or whether you are further along and you've got an established business and it's plateaued and you want to jumpstart it, get it to the next level, I think we can really help tonight and help answer some questions.
Yeah.
Any opening thoughts for people in terms of what you think the future of online business? Are there any big nuggets that kind of stand out for you in terms of big things that we should be thinking about?
Well, we sat next to, on the panel today, the lady who owns the clothing line. She was in that VIP luncheon. Was anybody in the VIP lunch today? It was great. And did you hear her say that she has 3 different ways of making money in their business? In the store, online, or a membership box. And she was like, that's what everything is going towards. And so you were like, just in such alignment with like where the whole industry is going. It's amazing. And she was talking also, she's a smart, brilliant woman, about Instagram stories and using Instagram stories and the power. I love that she was just affirming what I do for a living, the power of live video to make sales, to turn people from followers into people that just absolutely love you, that will buy stuff once you offer it. So my only opening thought would be that business and social media are constantly changing, and our job as entrepreneurs and business owners is to be aware of what those changes are in the market and to constantly be looking for what the market's doing and changing and adjusting so that our business can stay successful, because it changes quick, don't you think? I feel like just even Facebook's changed so much in the last 6 months.
Totally has, and to echo that point, where I see a big opportunity for all of us is in building community and really deepening that relationship with the community, because no matter what you're selling, when you've got a great relationship with your community, you will always do really, really well because you're serving the needs of those people. And so, in our company, we've just made a big investment, and we're doubling down on our investment. I talk about this, by the way, on the Marketing Your Business podcast.
Which one is this?
Yeah, it's Marketing Your Business, yeah. But because we really believe that the community is the future, and I was telling Prescott earlier that this kind of thing is part of that, taking the online and combining it with the offline and really building relationships. And when you do that well, you kind of safeguard yourself against changes, And Jennifer's one of the best at building community and building relationships, and that's why I'm grateful that she's here, and I'm honored to be up here sharing this kind of stuff with you. Okay, so anybody have any questions that you want to start off with? Prescott. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You and I will share this.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll, Shannon, thank you. We'll help run.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. My name is Prescott. I actually go by Frost online, and I've got a site that I'm working on called Revenue Rule. It's helping businesses to grow their revenues through community events. So because you brought up that topic, I want to ask both of you, for everybody's room's benefit, as you look, there we go.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So my question is, of all the entrepreneurs that you work with and you see as you're doubling down on community, which I fully believe in, I spent the 2017 going through about 35,000 different community events on Facebook, about 100 a day, to pick one and interview one a day for a whole year. Best project I've ever done in my life. But I wanted to know, what trends are you seeing in community from all these different entrepreneurs? What do you think is the thread that makes it successful? Because I definitely have my own perspective on this.
Like, what makes the online communities successful?
Yes.
Okay. I think there's 2 pieces to this puzzle. One is being intentional about deepening the connection with you if you're running the community. So how do you do that? You just show up. You show up in an authentic way, and you show up to serve. This is why Jennifer is amazing at this. I try to model it in our business as well. And truth be told, like I had the last several months have been the hardest months of my career. The reason being is because back in July, we had a really tough spell. We lost some close friends. They were tragically killed, and they were close to us as a company. And it was really, really hard because I didn't want to be up front. I wanted to crawl up in a ball. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I wanted time to just process it, and that's hard. That's really hard. And ultimately, what I discovered through that was that it was not only hard for me, but it was also hard for our team, because our team were trying to process that. So, you're dealing with it on a personal level. I'm trying to lead the team as well, and then lead the community. I ultimately, I was sharing transparently with the community, but even then, I still think that I could have done a better job. So here's what I learned through that process. One, when you're running a community, communication is critical. Not once, I communicated once and then I went ghost. What I needed to do was to be more frequent in the communication of giving people updates and informing them of what's going on. So I think communication is one. Number two is I think you just be straight up and just tell people what's going on. And I did do that, but I need to do that more frequently. But I think that that's an important part of the whole process when you're leading communities. So building connection with you is really important. But then, I'm sharing with you some of the challenges, but here's some of the other side of that, is that nothing lights me up more than the community. So during that time, I was doing a lot of reflective thinking. I was thinking about, am I in the right business? When you lose people close to you, you start asking these kinds of questions. And ultimately what I came back to was that, heck yeah, I'm in the right business. Nothing lights me up more than helping people make progress and get results. I live for, our stories that we have come through every single day. And so I started to reconnect with that, and that, there's another experience that brought me out of my funk, and I can share that a little bit later. But ultimately I discovered that it's about just connecting with your community and showing up. So there's the connection with you that's important. Then this is the other piece, is the connection within the community. So it's all great for Stu to show up, or it's all great for Jennifer to show up, but what's even more powerful is when the community start connecting with each other. So that if something does happen to you, like it did with me, it's really nothing but a little bump in the road, because the whole thing doesn't break down because of one relationship, right? And so how do you begin to develop those connections with each other and within the community? That's one of the big secrets. And this is why we've doubled down. This is why we've hired Shannon, who's our community director. It's why we are building out a whole team to begin managing the communities on a much grander scale, for the sole reason of being able to help connect people to each other. And so I think in-person events like this are really powerful, because there's nothing that strengthens a relationship like actually meeting people in person. Like Allison and I have talked, and it's great to finally meet them in person. It just deepens the relationship. So I think the future of communities is both a combination of online and offline. And I think facilitated events that you host, but then I also think the real future are events that your members host with each other.
That's good. Yeah, amen. Good job. So we're talking about community, right? And I have a podcast also. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out, called the Jennifer Allwood Show. But I talk on there about how I dislike free groups as communities, and how I really want people to view their Facebook page, not their personal profile, but their Facebook page, as their community. And that the difference between business owners at the end of the day comes down to relationship. Because the truth is, if you sell hair bows, there are 20,000 other women on Etsy, online, selling hair bows. And the way people decide who they're going to buy from is who they know, like, and trust. But they can't get to know you if you're hiding behind a logo as your profile picture, if you're hiding behind your business, and there's nothing ever about you personally as a human being on there that they can relate to. And so I think, especially us women, I'm going to talk to the girls in the room, sometimes we just want to hide between being anonymous because we're worried about judgment, we're worried about all the things, and so we don't really like to show up. I don't like my myself on camera. I don't really know what to say. How much is too much sharing? How much is not enough sharing? And so we tend to just hide behind our businesses, but business online is similar to what business was like when I was a little girl and I lived with my grandparents. I told this story today. So I lived with my grandparents for just a little while in a very small town in Iowa, and there were 2 grocery stores in the town, even though it was real small. And the way that we decided where Grandma was going to get groceries was which business owner did she like? Or Grandma was kind of sassy, so which one did she not like, right? And so if you're from a small town, you totally get that. And so so that's how we decided who we were doing business with, who Grandma was spending money with. It wasn't who had the best coupons, who had the best store, who had the best prices. None of that mattered. At the end of the day, it was who did she like. So if you are in a market online where there's a lot of people doing what you do, which really there is no new idea under the sun, so somebody else is already doing what you're doing, the way you set yourself apart is by building community. It's by building relationship. It's by actually developing relationship with your followers and just not making it about business all the time.
What do you do though? Because you're phenomenal at this. What do you do to build that connection and relationship?
Well, I talk about things other than business. I talk about family. I bring my husband on sometimes. I hold my breath when I do it because he's a hot mess. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, what's he about to say? And I never know. And I'm like, Jesus, cover his mouth. I don't know what's going to happen. But we talk about things other than just business. And I did this though even when I owned my decorative painting company. We talked about paint, we talked about decorating your home, but we also just talked about life and talked about my faith and talked about my family and talked about things that I thought would bless the people who were following me. I want you to remember this. We live in a world where we are more overconnected and overstimulated than ever before, and people are lonelier than ever before. So you think it's all about selling your earrings? They'll buy your earrings, but give them relationship because that's what people are craving. They're lonely. They spend hours a day. Who has that new thing on their iPhone and don't get it? Let me just tell you. It tells you how much screen time you're spending on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. And I'm like total conviction because I've got teenagers and I'm always like, get off your phone. And then I'm like, that's how long I was on Instagram. But it's work, boys. This is work. But so we're online all the time. People are foregoing face-to-face relationship to be online. Give people online something that they need, besides your earrings, besides your lawn care service, besides the thing, and then they will buy from you when you decide to go sell it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I told you this today, but I'd like to share with you group. Oh, sorry. Stu, I actually DM'd you about this. Jennifer is.
Where are you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Danielle. I'm in Jennifer's group, and
Thanks, Danielle.
I have a shop called Imperfect. Okay, but anyway, about
Called what? Called what?
No, it's not like, say it, what is it?
Imperfect Dust. I hand letter signs.
She hand letter sign. Awesome.
Faith-based.
Yes.
Imperfect Dust. That's what we are.
Yeah.
Okay. But I DM'd Jennifer like whenever she would do stories, and she always wrote me back, and I thought, this woman's untouchable in my mind. But she would always write me back, and then when her inner circle opened, it was like, take my money, I want it. Because she was there, and it was just awesome to me. And one thing you told me to do that I started implementing was when people would DM me, because I have I guess you could say vanity number on my Instagram following.
You
But
got a good
I
Instagram following?
guess it's decent.
Tell us, girl.
27.1.
Yes, that's good.
Okay.
Excellent.
But I wanted my engagement to go up.
Yeah.
And so one thing you said to do was when someone writes you, to send them a video message back.
It'll blow their mind. Their
It blew their
customers for
mind.
life.
And I was like, where this had never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Well, then the other day I sent you a video message and said I couldn't wait to meet you. Here, you videoed me back, and then I'm your customer for life. So
And you know what? So, but here's what I want you to take away from that. It takes 15 seconds for you to do. That's all Instagram will let you do on a story. It's 15 seconds. And literally, I told y'all before, if I can't take the time to respond back to my people, I no longer deserve the platform I've been given. I mean, they're paying my bills. They're paying my family's bills. And I mean that with everything in me. So I do spend a lot of time answering those DMs because it means something. And the truth is, people want to be seen. They want to be heard. They're desperate for somebody to just take a few seconds out of their day, and hopefully that just changed something in you or gave you some encouragement or just a tiny bit of advice that would maybe help you make that little shift in your business that would make all the difference. And there's been so many people that have mentored me in that way. I mean, things Stu has said to me in the last year or two, I mean, sometimes just that one thing that he's probably, he doesn't even know that one thing like just made an entire shift in my mind. And so I try to use my social media to do that exact same thing. And if you could do it in a video, it takes 15 seconds. You know, you're walking to the bathroom anyway. Take that 15 seconds and just video yourself. Nobody needs to know.
Don't do it on the toilet.
Don't do it on the toilet. No, just make sure there's no mirrors.
But I have done Facebook Lives from the toilet. You know, with that said,
I remember you were in a hotel.
Yeah, it was, here's what happened. I went live consistently at, every day at 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern, which happened to be 7 a.m. Pacific. And my wife and I were traveling at a conference, and she was still sleeping in the bed. And I'm like, well, I can't do it in the hotel room. And I couldn't do it out in the hallway because the internet connection was really bad. So I did it from the bathroom, and I just explained what was going on. And people understood. I'm like, okay, we're on in the bathroom with Stu, you know, in the loo with Stu. I think I used it before, but yeah. But okay, sorry. Any other questions? I don't need to talk about my bathroom behavior.
I'm Melissa, and I'm in Jennifer's group, Melissa Lewis Art. So, Stu, I have a question. You were talking about something dramatic you went through. I've had a rough year, and I'm starting to build my presence on Facebook, thanks to Jennifer, and it's going really well. I feel like I've got a community, and people are just engaging, and it's great. But I've kind of fallen off the wagon for the last couple of months because I'm very transparent and authentic, which is what people want, but when something is going on that's not that great, and you can't really share a lot of it either, how do you still show up when you're trying to be authentic?
Yeah, it's a really tough time. And you know, I'm still processing, you know, myself. I'm not totally through yet. You know, it's still, the way I explain it is I'm starting to find my new normal, you know what I mean? And I feel, for me, we had a trip back in August that really helped me kind of start to come back, if you will. But what I would say is I would share with the community that you're going through a tough time. You don't have to give all the details of it, but people are human. We all go through challenges. You know? People understand, and one of the things that I am incredibly grateful for is that the overwhelming vast majority of our community were unbelievably graceful, understanding, and compassionate. And here's the, you know, for me, like I was saying to Shanna, like I'm so grateful to those people for kind of bridging that period, you know, that, you know, when we were talking about the plans for the community, like I'm all in. I want to show up in a huge way, because here's the other side of it. That's, you know, the backstory. It was, we launched a brand new program right when this happened, and for a membership site, the most important time to really be all in is right at the beginning, and I was not in a position to be there, and so it was a really tough time. It was a really tough time, and our community was so graceful, and I think a large part of it was because we had built up so much social equity beforehand, because we just kept showing up. We kept showing up. And so my thoughts to you is, I'm sorry, you know, for whatever it is that you're going through, because it's hard. It's hard as a business owner when you're front facing and you're dealing with challenges. But I just want to give you permission to also take the time you need to process, because although it was a really tough time for the business, personally I needed that space. And if I didn't take that space, I believe it would have lingered and continued to linger a lot longer, because I wouldn't have had the space to process. And so I just think being transparent with the community and letting them know, like, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to process. I'm grateful for the notes of encouragement and the compassion, and I'm not forgetting about you. Like, that's the biggest thing. And that's what I was saying about the communication piece, is that, like, the communication may not be just showing up and doing a bubbly Facebook Live and teaching and all that kind of stuff. It might be just showing up for a couple minutes and just saying, you know what, like, I haven't forgotten about you. I think about you all the time. I'm dealing with some things. It's hard for me to be in front, but I want you to know that I haven't forgotten. And you know, just communication.
Give yourself a lot of grace. Listening to everything, there's a season under heaven. So just, you know, this may be your season just to pull back a little bit and just really take care of you. You're of no value to your business when you're really, you know, hurting and grieving and those things. And so there's different seasons for different things. We just brought a 4-year-old girl into our home 8 weeks ago. I can't be on Facebook as much, and I had people DMing me and, you know, where have you been on your Facebook Live? Well, we've got stuff going on. I'm raising humans here, and so, you know, like, it's gonna have to wait a minute. But what I will tell you is it's always good to have somebody else on your team that can take, like, old content. This is just a practical tip. Old content from your Facebook page and just resurrect it. You already wrote it 6 months ago. Just copy and paste it, you know, from your feed back in, just to keep you, like, in the algorithm, so that when you do come back around and, you know, your page hasn't tanked. I mean, that's just from a really practical point of view, but it's really great if you can have somebody just kind of help you in the interim. And I've even seen people ask, like, their VA or their assistant just to kind of take over on posting and just say, hey, I'm posting on her behalf for a minute. You know, she's tied up with some things, and here's a new blog post we wrote her. You know, be creative, and but give yourself some grace. That's super important. Hi there. Hi. I see you. You know, I'm not wearing glasses or contacts today, either one, because Chastity told me I couldn't wear glasses. Chastity's not she dresses me, and so I tried putting in contacts this morning. Yeah, it didn't work, so you're all, I'm seeing like 2 of you.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback off of that. My name is Corey Fraser.
Oh, Corey has a great story. Was on my podcast. Thank you, Corey.
Actually, yes, thank you. I'm in Jennifer's inner circle, and I'm also a tribe member, and I had just launched, I'm a photographer, Corey Fraser Photography, and I also just launched an online camera school after Tribe. It has been amazing, but September 11th, we had to evacuate for Hurricane Florence. And we lost half of our home on the coast of North Carolina. In fact, we do have drywall today. My parents and my husband sent pictures. So we're rebuilding. But anyway, it was really tough because here you're evacuating. You have all of the emotions of hoping that your husband and your home are still safe when you return, with the children and the dogs and all the things. And business was one of those things. And I'm like, what do I do now? And truly, it was just being transparent and showing up and communicating what Stu just said, communicating to your people to say, this is who I am, this is where I am, I love you, I will be back. This is what you can do to pray for us, or the people in our community, this is how you can help. But I also very practically just said, my normal teaching in the community will be a little off schedule, so I just ask for your grace and your patience. And can I tell you that all of them wrote me back and said, Corey, we didn't expect you to show up for months. Yeah. And thank you for just being, honest. And I said, hey, I'm back, and we are in this to win it. I'm here to help you. And so that right there, I think, just being transparent with who we are, and the fact that we lost most of our home. And I think it just brought credibility to my passion for what I do and for the people that I serve. And so I think that's just part of it, is going back to loving on your people, and they're going to love you right back.
She's such a trooper, because I was doing a podcast and I was interviewing a group of 3 women, and I had asked Corey, not realizing, I have family in South Carolina, so I thought that it was there. I didn't even realize that half her home had been destroyed. And she took that podcast interview from your neighbor's RV on your cul-de-sac. Am I right?
They're actually living in an RV in the front yard.
Yes, God bless it, girl. She just made it happen, and I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot even believe you were here, but I just appreciate you, and I'm so glad you got drywall. Yay! Who else has a question I can help with? Yes, sir.
So my wife and I were tribers, and she follows you also, Jennifer. But with the exposure that she's gotten from you, I'm sorry. I'm Tom Morgan, and my wife is Jill Morgan, and besides my day job, we also.
I know, I keep thinking, how did Chastity get in the middle? What's happening here? Chas! can't see, but I can see that.
This is not what you think, I promise.
So tell us what it is
Well, I'm
you're
not
doing.
sure what he's gonna ask, so I'm sitting here.
We build farmhouse furniture,
Uh-huh.
and we're trying to, well, at first, we're gonna transition that into teaching people how to build farmhouse furniture.
Love it.
And that didn't turn out so well. And so while we were at Tribe, kind of, fire got lit with trying to teach people what I do in my day job, because it could help everybody in this room, actually, and that's what I need to talk to you about.
Okay, fantastic.
But then we started rolling that, and then my wife's like, no, I really think it's her thing of home decor and stuff like that. All that aside, my question is every resource that you bring to the table, every resource that Stu has brought to the table, plus all the other people we've met, Rachel Miller, Ryan Levesque, James Wedmore, and stuff like that, what would be the counsel of when you hear all these different resources, which channel do you start?
And they're all good and they're all right.
Yes,
Right?
but they all have a little bit different.
Yeah. But there's, okay, so they are all a little bit different. And so when it comes to your business, though, like, what I know to be true is you have to find the way that makes sense for you. It's almost like, think of it this way. There are a million ways to lose weight. You could go on the Atkins diet, you can go keto. Help me out, because Weight Watchers, what else? Thank you. So there's all the different diets, right? They will all work. They just all work in a different way. And so you got to figure out which one will work for you and which one is sustainable over the long haul. Same thing with all the different courses. Every one of those people are brilliant in their own mind. But I think there is an order to things. I mean, for me, what I'm always preaching and coaching on is you got to start with an audience. So, you know, Rachel Miller is phenomenal at audience building, Facebook building. And so to me, it always starts with the audience first, and then all the other things go from there. And I'll let Stu talk on that because I can see you're already drawing. I'm impressed.
Getting into my Stu art.
Yep, Stu art.
Okay, so it's all about identifying and knowing where you are on your journey. So earlier in your journey, it's exactly what Jennifer is saying. The whole focus earlier in your journey is all about growing the audience. You can't sell any products if you don't have anybody to sell it to. So creating a product is actually irrelevant if you don't have an audience to sell it to, right? So in the beginning, it's all about audience building. And the magic is that I used to think you needed an audience of tens of thousands. I used to think that. It's our tribe community that has proven that not to be true. You don't need an audience of tens of thousands. In fact, you need an audience of just a few hundred to be able to get going. And that's what is so magical about what Jennifer teaches, what Rachel Miller teaches, because they both show you how to begin building your audience in a sustainable way so that you can build momentum. Once you've got the audience, even if it's a small audience, then it's about selling something. And the big key here is that I always encourage people to focus on one primary product in the beginning. Like if somebody were to come to you, like what's the one thing that you would offer your customers that they would want? You know what I mean? For example, I had a private client, once a month I do one-on-one private consultations. And last month, I had a gentleman who flew to Toronto with his team, and he had a whole bunch of different products. And I said, awesome. I'm like, okay, so if I'm your perfect client, like, which one should I buy? And he's like, well, you could get this one, and you could get that one, and you could get this one. And I'm like, that creates confusion. And so there's no path in that regard. And so in the beginning, I always focus on audience, one product, and then one launch. So getting one methodology of selling down to a science. So again, this is where distractions can come in because you can hear about all these different ways to be able to sell. And just like Jennifer said, they're like diets. They all work. But you can't do them all the time. So one of the things that I learned early on in my career, and I was mentored and coached on this, was like, all those things are all great, but focus on one that works for you. So here's a perfect example. Even like with Jennifer, back in January when Jennifer was looking to really launch her membership, one of the points of resistance was she's like, yeah, but all the launch stuff that it takes too long, it's all that kind of stuff. But there's one thing that she does phenomenally well, Facebook Live. It's like, okay, so focus on that one thing that she does really well and just make it work. And she has, and she does, and it's working phenomenally for her. We were talking about, I hope you don't mind me sharing this.
No, talk away.
But backstage when we were at the Business Boutique event, we were talking about speaking and audiences. And Jennifer has never felt comfortable doing this. And I asked her, inside scoop, I asked her to speak at Tribe Live next year. And immediately she's like, yes, ooh, wait. And I said, time out. I said, I don't want you to do a presentation that is not going to make, I want you to do you. I want you to deliver a presentation that makes you feel comfortable. And you can see right away, she's just like, okay, thank you. And this is what I'm trying to say. It's like when it comes to your marketing method, pick a method that works for you. So in the beginning, it's audience. I advise one platform. Pick one platform that you focus on first. For me, it was Facebook. Then I branched, once I was in a rhythm with that, then I branched to the podcast, Marketing Your Business, Marketing Your Business, if you haven't subscribed yet. Yeah, perfect, thank you, yeah. But my Instagram and my YouTube, they're not a focus right now. I definitely...
Your Instagram stories are great.
I definitely Instagram stories and stuff like that, but it's not like I'm not focused on growing that channel. Does that make sense? I'm focused on one channel, one platform, which is Facebook for me. So, one platform, one product, one marketing methodology. Focus on that. Then the other stuff, when it comes to like, once you've got your one marketing methodology, then it's about like dialing that in. This is where like Ryan Levesque, as an example, to help you begin to compartmentalize like where these things fit in. What his methodology does is it helps you improve that one marketing channel by segmenting your audience and being able to tailor the marketing messages to each of those segments. So for example, let's just say that somebody was serving, okay, so 2 weeks ago I had a group of people that I was helping in a room, and one of the women, she helps expecting moms, okay? So that's her niche, great niche, but there's segments within that niche. For example, your marketing messaging would be totally different to an expecting mom that's never had a baby before versus a mom that has already had a baby. Two totally different messages, even though it's the same segment. Does that make sense? That's where Ryan Levesque stuff comes in, where it helps you really dial in that whole marketing process. And then where James Wegmore comes in is a little bit later, even though it actually can serve you very much so in the early stages as well, because it's all about getting a process and a system for the business. And so, as Jennifer said, there's a variety of different things, but it's about understanding where they fit in your business according to where you are on your journey. And the reality of it is that I would encourage you to focus on less rather than more in the beginning, because you'll gain way more traction. Then you can start incorporating the other pieces. So even in my own business, we're very far along. I still ignore and have to put blinders on to a lot of different strategies and ideas, and I check them off like, that's great, but that's not great for me right now. So I'll save that for later.
That's great. Yeah, I do. So we just implemented ManyChat. Anybody use ManyChat? Okay, I hate it. Can I just say that? It is not for me. And so, I know so many people that ManyChat does really well for. And what I keep having to learn this knuckleheaded thing about, because sometimes I tend to be stubborn, is it is so much more beneficial for me to double down on the things I'm good at than try to reinvent the wheel and come up with something and learn something that I'm not. And so I want to be all fancy pants and do the ManyChat, but I don't like it. And when you don't like something, your people know. And so, you know what I mean? And so figure out what you really like, because instinctively you'll like the things that you're good at. I mean, that's the way it works. And you'll dislike the things that you're no good at. So double down on the things that you enjoy and that you like. I was talking to Stu about the last launch we had for my inner circle. We had all these plans. Plans are they're so fun to have, and then, rarely do they work out like you think, but then we got a new little girl, and so we had all these plans of implementing mini chat and doing like a whole webinar, and I watch Stu, and he brings all these faces up on the screen all the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, we need to do that. Well, at the end of the day, we just doubled down on what I'm best at, which is sending out emails and doing Facebook Lives, and we still added almost 1,500 new members. But so there's so many other ways we could have done it, but I just had to do a way that felt best to me, and it required the least amount of my energy. Does that make sense? Because I think so often as business owners, we get so attracted to all the shiny things, and they will work, but a lot of them are just gonna drain you, because they're not really authentic to your business. And I do actually think there is such a market for building farmhouse furniture. I mean, come on, Clint Hart. You know who Clint is? He's on my podcast. We're gonna have like a battle of the podcast here. But no, I mean, he builds the furniture for Chip and Joanne Gaines. And then there's like the Shanty to Chic girls who, yes, I mean, those girls are killing it building farmhouse furniture. So I wouldn't give up on that quite yet. I'd like to talk to you afterwards about that specifically if we could. Yeah. Yes, hi. How are you? I'm well, thanks.
My name is Christy Howard from Los Angeles, California, and I own Anemone Travel, and I'm a travel advisor. I specialize, and I'm an ICer.
Oh, thank you so much.
Not creative.
That's okay. That's all right.
But I'm in the beginning stages, building my audience, and I specifically deal with the homeschool market and plan vacations for homeschoolers.
That is so niche.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I stay in my lane and not ignore other people?
Yeah, can I ask you why? Just out of curiosity, why do you do travel just for homeschooling?
I'm a homeschooling mama.
Okay.
And as a homeschooling parent, you can learn anywhere. And our babies learn best when you're on the road, traveling abroad. And
Okay, all right. So you help families that are homeschooling their kids plan travel for the whole family?
with curriculum.
With curriculum. Girlfriend. I don't know. Yeah, I know Stu's like, let me talk.
No, but all I want the room to observe is the energy
Yeah.
that was created from that specific market. Does everybody pick up on that? Like, that's the power and the energy of having a specific market that you serve. So I just wanted to make observation of like what happens when you get real clear on who you serve and the problem they have and how you help them.
Yeah. So my audience is mostly creative people, but guess who's in my inner circle? I'm not creative. So you will, when you're marketing to a certain niche, is it niche or niche? Does it matter? Which way makes me sound smarter? Is it niche? Sure. Okay. So if you market to a specific niche, I mean the majority of the people will come from there, but you'll still get people like you are in my group who maybe don't fit that mold, and they can still be your customers too. But I think it's amazing that you know exactly who you want to market to, and if you can become known, and I learned this from Stu, if you can become known in that market as the go-to girl for homeschool parents who want to travel with their kids, man, I mean, that is just a winning ticket right there. There's profit right all over that. Stay in your lane, babe.
Okay.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm Tamara Bennett. My business is Southern Adornments Decor, and I have a membership called the Painters Clubhouse where I teach women how to paint door hangers. And I want to give my people in my membership more of me, but I know you say not to overwhelm them with too much content. So would it be, I mean, I already have content laid out, you know, they get something every week from me, but only usually one or two of those trainings out of the 4 are me. The other ones are usually a guest presenter. Would it be okay in my membership to pop in and just do like a live where it's not official content, but it's just me interacting with them and just painting and talking to them?
Heck yeah. Listen, when we talk about overwhelming content, there's 2 types. There's content that helps teach new things. If you overwhelm them with a lot of new things, they're going to be like a deer in headlights, not being able to do anything. But the content that you can never, I believe, give too much of is content that helps people implement what it is that you're teaching easier and faster. And if you're showing up to help them implement, to help them make progress, to help give them ideas, to help them over their limiting beliefs and roadblocks, help show them examples and inspire them, then absolutely, I would encourage you. I remember when you posted your story in the community, it was like amazing. People were like, what? Door hangers? You got a community of people for door hangers? It is a real thing. It's amazing. Like, this is why I love our communities, because like a business can be built around all these incredible markets. And so, yes, show up. Like another quick example, like a mutual friend of ours, Nicholas Wilton, he's an artist. And one of the things that he started doing a lot more of is just showing, doing live feeds of him in the studio as he's painting. And his members love it. Because
It's like Bob Ross, remember him?
no.
You do not know who Bob Ross is? Okay, pray for Stu. Come on, Stu. Bob Ross had that black, crazy, big old hair, and he painted happy trees on like public television. How old are you? You're not old enough to remember? Somebody Google Bob Ross, okay? So he would paint happy trees. Okay. How did we get started on Bob Ross?
Oh no.
I don't know. Where did we make the jump? Where?
The live painting.
Oh yeah, the live painting. People watch Bob Ross because it's mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing to watch him with those happy trees. They're happy trees, too.
I will check out some of the happy trees.
People love watching that stuff.
Yeah, great. Where do we go from here?
So, my name is Christy Hawkins, and I am with Social Easel. I'm in both of your guys' group. Stu, thank you for sharing my story today. So, that was crazy. But my question is, so I just finished launching my membership again at the end of September. And I
Tell
don't
people
plan-
about it, because it's amazing.
Okay, so I kind of am like Bob Ross. So that there's your transition.
I know Christy, I don't know Bob.
So I teach acrylic painting step by step. So in my membership, they get 2 full paintings with me per month. They get a technique video and they get a live Q&A. We have an amazing community, which we've already done one live meet and greet, and they all know each other now. They've become friends. We've already planned our Christmas party, so I'm highly invested in my community, and I love on them. So here's when I look at the numbers for next year and the growth of what my membership can be, I feel like I'm kind of stuck on how to get to that next level from where I'm at right now, if that makes any sense. So I have about, I think I'm at like 12,000 followers on Facebook. I do the 2 lives a week. I post 4 times a day. I do everything you tell me to do. And so I keep doing that, but I'm just wondering, like, when I launch again, it's not going to be until March. So what, other than doing my lives and teaching the painting and doing that kind of stuff, what can I do